I still remember the day it broke me. Not the first losing trade, not even the 10th. It was the seventh loss in a row. 7 trades, 7 losses. Back to back. No mercy. At first, I thought it was just a rough patch. Every trader goes through it. That is what I told myself to stay calm. A small bump in the road, nothing serious. The second loss came, and I told myself the same. Stay disciplined, stick to the system, trust the process. By the third one, something started to shift inside me. I was no longer calmly reviewing my setups. I was starting to doubt. By the fourth loss, I felt it in my breathing. Shorter, heavier. My patience grew thinner. I was no longer waiting for clean signals. I was rushing decisions, trying to force trades where none existed. By the fifth, something snapped. I stopped caring about rules, about structure, about probability. I just wanted to win something, anything, to make the pain stop. The sixth loss landed, and my head was no longer in the charts. I was staring blankly at my account balance, watching it bleed day after day. Clicking buy or sell became almost automatic. It was no longer about logic. It was emotion, frustration, ego, pride. That last trade, the seventh, felt like a punch in the chest. I sat there long after the market had closed, watching the red numbers frozen on my screen as if they were laughing at me. That night, I left my apartment and just wandered the streets in silence. I was numb. I was angry, not at the market, not at the losses, but at myself. How did I let it come to this? I had rules. I had a system. I had risk management. I thought I was better than this. But in reality, I was just like everyone else who ever thought they had mastered this game. What people do not tell you is this: losing streaks are not just about money. They tear at your confidence. They shake your beliefs about who you are and what you are capable of. If you tie your self-worth to your trading performance, then a losing streak does not just hurt your account. It hurts your identity. I remember thinking maybe I was not cut out for this. Maybe I lost my edge. Maybe the market had changed and left me behind. But deep down, I knew none of that was true. The truth was harsher. I had not lost my edge. I had lost control of my emotions. I had lost my discipline. I had forgotten why rules exist in the first place. I isolated myself during those days. I stopped talking to other traders. I stopped writing in my journal. I stopped reflecting, because reflecting meant facing the truth, and I was not ready to admit I was the problem. Not the strategy, not the market, me. Looking back, it was obvious where I went wrong. Every loss chipped away at my patience, my objectivity, my professionalism. Each one made me weaker mentally until the market was no longer my opponent. My own mind was. I abandoned my system. I traded setups I would have never touched before. I increased my size not because it made sense, but because I was desperate to get back to even. I chased volatility. I chased revenge. I chased validation. I thought I could outwork a losing streak the same way I outworked bad grades in school or tough moments in life. But this is not school. This is not life. This is the market. The market does not care about your effort. It only cares about probabilities. And sometimes probabilities swing against you for longer than your ego is willing to accept. One night, I called an old friend, someone who had survived decades of trading. He listened without interrupting as I vented about my streak, my doubts, my frustration. When I finished, he simply said something I will never forget. You are not special. This happens to everyone who thinks they have figured it out. That truth hit me hard. Not because it was cruel, but because it was real. He asked me one question. Are you the kind of trader who stays down when the losses come, or the one who gets back up, learns, adapts, and keeps going? Because that is what separates those who survive from those who vanish. It was in that moment I realized my mistake. I had treated the losing streak like a personal attack, like some injustice the market owed me to fix. In reality, it was just probability playing its part. It was a statistical certainty I should have been prepared for. I was not. Trading is not about avoiding losses. Trading is about managing yourself when those losses come in waves. Anyone can look like a genius during a winning streak. Your character is revealed when the market beats you up and leaves you wondering if you should even bother continuing. That is when you see who is built for this and who is not. The next day, I did something simple but powerful. I opened my trading journal. I reviewed every losing trade, not to punish myself, but to understand. I asked hard questions. Did I follow my rules? Did I respect my risk parameters? Did I trade with clarity or with desperation? The answers were clear. I had broken every rule I promised myself I would never break. Not because the strategy was flawed, but because I stopped following it. I thought I was smarter than my own rules. I was not. From that moment, I rebuilt from zero. Smaller positions, fewer trades, higher standards for entries, zero tolerance for emotional decisions. I reminded myself that surviving this business is not about brilliance. It is about consistency, discipline, resilience. I stopped tying my identity to wins or losses. I started measuring myself by one thing only. Did I follow my plan? Did I trade with integrity? Did I respect my capital? If the answer was yes, then the outcome no longer mattered. Profits will come and go. Consistency and execution is what keeps you alive long enough to capture them. Losing streaks will come. They are not optional, they are inevitable. And when they do, your biggest threat is not your system. It is not the market. It is your own mind, your fear, your pride, your ego. That is what will lead you to ruin if you are not careful. The market does not owe you a recovery. It does not owe you fairness. It only offers opportunities. It is your job to wait for them with patience, not to chase them with desperation. Most traders blow up not because they had a bad system. They blow up because they did not know how to handle the darkness between the wins. They did not have the mental armor to withstand the silence of a losing streak without breaking down. I am grateful I did not quit, because everything I am today as a trader was forged in that period of pain. It taught me humility. It taught me respect for the randomness of markets and the fragility of human psychology. It taught me the importance of rules not as guidelines, but as lifelines. I no longer fear losing streaks. I expect them. When they come, I downsize. I step back. I breathe. I protect my capital. I protect my confidence. I remind myself this is part of the process. I do not seek revenge. I do not chase validation. I stay professional. I survive. Because in the end, this game does not reward the ones who never lose. It rewards the ones who never quit. Those who endure. Those who understand that true mastery in trading is not about winning more. It is about losing well. It is about surviving the storm without losing yourself. The weak see a losing streak as the end. The strong see it as tuition. This is not about avoiding pain. It is about learning how to walk through it without falling apart. If you understand that, you will already be ahead of 90% of people trying to trade for a living. Your career will not be defined by how you handle the wins. It will be defined by how you survive the losses. That is what separates those who make it from those who disappear. When you come out of a losing streak like that, something inside you changes forever. You stop chasing the fantasy of being right all the time. You stop searching for the magic indicator or the perfect strategy. You start to understand the truth about this business. The truth is simple. Survival comes first. Profits only come later. What saved me was not some revelation about the market. It was a revelation about myself. I realized I had been fighting the wrong battle. I thought my enemy was the market. I thought my enemy was volatility, fake outs, news events, unpredictable price action. In reality, my only enemy was my inability to follow my own rules when pressure mounted. So I rebuilt everything from the ground up, not just my strategy, my entire approach to trading, to money, to risk, to discipline. I treated it like a business, not a game, not an ego contest. A business where my primary responsibility was capital preservation above all else. The first change I made was with position sizing. I used to think in terms of how much I could make. After the losing streak, I thought only in terms of how much I was willing to lose. I stopped sizing positions emotionally. Every trade was reduced to the smallest acceptable risk. 1% per trade was no longer just a guideline. It became a law. In periods of drawdown, I cut that further. Sometimes I traded with 0.5% risk just to keep my head clear, to stay in rhythm, to rebuild confidence without the added pressure of big losses. Next came the process itself. I simplified everything. My charts became cleaner. I eliminated unnecessary indicators. I focused only on price structure, key levels, volume, and confirmation from higher timeframes. I realized complexity was just a mask for insecurity. The more confident you are in your process, the less clutter you need on your screen. I rebuilt my trading plan with brutal honesty. What market conditions did I perform best in? What time frames made me see the clearest? What setup statistically favored my personality and style? I no longer tried to trade everything that moved. I specialized. I became selective to the point of seeming lazy. Some days I did not place a trade at all. That used to make me anxious. After the losing streak, it gave me peace. Discipline became my obsession. Not discipline as an idea, but as a practice. I created hard rules for myself. Maximum 3 trades a day. Maximum 2 losses before walking away. If I broke a rule, I did not punish myself emotionally. I punished myself operationally. I forced a break. No charts, no analysis, no trades for 24 hours. This was not about punishment. It was about respect. Respect for the danger of letting emotions take the wheel. I also built routines outside of trading. I exercised more. I meditated. I journaled daily, not just trades, but thoughts, emotions, patterns in behavior. Trading is 90% mental. You cannot fix bad trading habits if you do not understand the patterns of your mind. Journaling became my mirror. Every mistake I made was written down, every lesson recorded. Over time, patterns emerged. I started to see my weaknesses with clarity. I started to address them, not ignore them. One of the biggest lessons was accepting boredom. Trading is boring when done right. It is repetition. It is waiting. It is executing the same setups over and over without deviation. There is no thrill in it, no excitement. The excitement comes from the long-term results, not from any single trade. Once I embraced that, my performance stabilized. I stopped seeking stimulation from the market. I started seeking consistency from myself. Another critical change was my relationship with risk. I stopped fearing losses. I started respecting them. A loss well managed is a sign of professionalism. A loss ignored, fought, chased after is a sign of immaturity. I stopped trying to avoid losses altogether. I started focusing on keeping losses within plan, within expectation, within reason. This changed everything. Small losses no longer triggered big emotions. They became part of the cost of doing business. I stopped tying my emotions to the outcome of any single day. A red day no longer ruined my mood. A green day no longer inflated my ego. I started to see my trading in blocks of 50 trades, 100 trades, 200 trades. Single outcomes faded in importance. The big picture became all that mattered. Am I following my plan? Am I managing my risk? Am I sticking to my rules? If the answer was yes, then the results would take care of themselves in time. Most importantly, I stopped trying to fix myself with more knowledge. I realized I did not need more courses, more indicators, more strategies. I needed more discipline, more patience, more emotional control. The market is not complicated. People are. Simplifying my mind was far more valuable than complicating my charts. Looking back now, that losing streak was the best thing that ever happened to me. It forced me to confront the truth. Trading success is not about talent. It is about character. It is about the ability to take hits without falling apart. It is about staying consistent when nothing seems to work. It is about playing defense so well that when offense finally comes, you are still alive to take advantage of it. I know now that every trader who survives long-term goes through this. Everyone hits the wall. Everyone questions everything. The difference is in how you respond. The amateurs look for shortcuts. The professionals double down on discipline. The amateurs blame the market, their system, bad luck. The professionals look in the mirror and fix the real problem. There is no avoiding pain in this business. The market will humble you. It will frustrate you. It will test you in ways you cannot imagine. But if you stay focused on survival, on protecting your capital and your confidence, you will endure. And if you endure long enough, you will succeed. This is the lesson most traders never learn because they quit too soon. They leave in anger or shame, thinking they were not good enough. In truth, they simply did not give themselves enough time to learn how to lose well. Losing well is an art. It is a skill. It is the foundation of all sustainable trading success. Today, I still lose trades. I still have red days. Sometimes I still feel frustration creeping in, but I catch it faster. I control it better. I respect my rules more because I know what is at stake if I do not. The difference between where I was and where I am now is not in my strategy. It is in my mindset. It is in my habits. It is in my respect for this game and for myself. I trade less, but make more. I risk less, but sleep better. I care less about being right and more about being consistent. That is the transformation a losing streak brings when you survive it. It strips away the illusions. It leaves you with what really matters: patience, discipline, self-control, professionalism. Trading is not about avoiding storms. It is about learning how to navigate them without sinking. If you can do that, you will outlast most. You will prosper not because you never fail, but because you never stop learning how to fail better. That is the real secret no one wants to tell you. Recovery did not happen overnight. There was no breakthrough moment where everything suddenly clicked and the losses stopped. The truth is, coming back from a losing streak is a slow process. It is not glamorous. It is not exciting. It is mundane, repetitive, sometimes painfully boring. It is doing the right thing over and over again, even when the results are not showing yet. It is trusting the process when the evidence is not immediately obvious. At first, my only goal was to stop the bleeding, to stabilize, to protect my capital and rebuild my confidence brick by brick. I traded smaller. I traded less. I waited longer for the perfect setups. I stopped caring about making money and started caring about making good decisions. I measured success not by profit and loss, but by whether I executed my plan with discipline. Slowly, the tide began to turn. The losses became smaller. The wins returned, not in big dramatic streaks, but in small, steady steps. A green day here, a break-even day there. The emotional swings started to fade. The urge to overtrade disappeared. I found myself more patient, more focused, less reactive. The same setups that once tempted me into mistakes no longer had any power over me. I could walk away without hesitation. I could sit through boredom without forcing trades. Confidence did not return with a single big win. It returned with consistency, with seeing myself show up every day, follow the rules, respect the process. It returned with knowing that even when I lost the right way. I took planned, calculated, controlled risks. I did not chase. I did not panic. I did not deviate. This is how true confidence in trading is built. Not through bravado or big profits, but through mastering yourself. One of the most important realizations I had during this time was understanding that profitability is simply a byproduct of professionalism. The money comes when you behave like someone who deserves it, not before. The market pays those who are patient, disciplined, humble. It punishes those who are impulsive, arrogant, emotional. I learned that the hard way. I also learned to detach from outcomes. A single trade no longer affected my mood. A red week did not shake my belief in my process. I began to think in probabilities, in sample sizes, in long-term edges. I reminded myself daily that my job was not to predict the future. My job was to manage risk and execute high-quality trades repeatedly over time. The outcome of any one trade was irrelevant in the bigger picture. I stopped trying to impress anyone. I stopped talking about my wins. I stopped comparing my journey to others. Trading became personal again, private, a quiet discipline between me and the market. My identity no longer depended on being a trader. Trading was something I did, not who I was. This separation gave me space to breathe, space to think clearly, space to execute without the weight of ego. With time, my account started to grow again. Not fast, not exponentially, steadily, safely. Like a business building revenue quarter after quarter, not chasing lottery tickets, but compounding good decisions. I learned to treat my trading account with the same respect a CEO treats company capital. Every dollar mattered. Every risk needed justification. Waste was unacceptable. Recklessness was unforgivable. What surprised me most during this phase was how little emotion I felt even when the profits returned. I no longer celebrated wins with excitement or dramatized losses with frustration. I had reached a place of neutrality. Trading became mechanical, methodical, almost boring in its routine. And this, ironically, is where the real profits began to come. Consistency bred consistency. Good habits replaced bad ones. Systems ran smoother. Analysis became sharper. Patience became second nature. I no longer needed to force anything. The setups came to me. I waited. I executed. I moved on. There was no more revenge trading, no more over-leveraging, no more chasing markets I did not understand. The deeper truth I discovered was this. Trading success is not about strategy. It is about emotional regulation, about discipline under pressure, about humility in the face of randomness, about protecting your capital and your confidence at all costs. The market is a mirror. It reflects back whatever you bring into it. Bring in fear, it will magnify your fear. Bring in greed, it will amplify your greed. Bring in discipline, and it will eventually reward you. Looking back, I am grateful for the losing streak. Without it, I would never have become the trader I am today. It stripped away my illusions. It humbled me. It forced me to confront my weaknesses head on. It taught me lessons no mentor, no book, no course ever could. The lessons learned in pain are the ones you never forget. Now, when new traders ask me for advice, I tell them this: expect to lose. Expect drawdowns. Expect days when nothing works, when doubt creeps in, when the market seems cruel and unforgiving. Your job is not to avoid these moments. Your job is to survive them with your capital and your confidence intact. Your job is to play defense so well that when the opportunity returns, you are still standing, ready to take advantage. Do not fear boredom. Embrace it. Do not seek excitement. Seek consistency. Do not measure yourself by how much you make. Measure yourself by how well you follow your rules. In this game, discipline is the only true edge that never fades. If you want to succeed, forget about being right. Forget about big wins. Focus on small, repeatable actions done well over time. Focus on survival first, profits second. Focus on the process, not the outcome. Master these things, and the rest will take care of itself. The trader who survives longest wins the game, not the one with the biggest wins. Not the one with the flashiest trades, the one who endures, the one who respects the market and respects themselves enough to stay disciplined when it matters most. That is the lesson I carry with me now. That is the foundation of everything I do. Survive first, thrive later. I no longer look at the market with the same eyes I once did. I do not see opportunity everywhere. I see danger everywhere. But within danger lies controlled opportunity, within chaos lies hidden structure, and within loss lies the seeds of every meaningful victory. What trading taught me, more than anything else, is patience. Not the patience to wait for a setup, the patience to become the person who deserves to survive in this game, to outlast, not to outperform, to protect, not to gamble, to think in decades, not days. I measure success differently now. It is not about how much I make this week or this month. It's about whether I kept my discipline intact, whether I respected my risk, whether I stayed true to my process when the market tried to shake me out of it. In the long run, that is the only measure that matters. If you are reading this and you are somewhere in the middle of your own storm, hear this clearly. You are not alone. Every trader who has lasted has walked through this fire. Every professional has stared at red numbers wondering if they still belong here. What separates those who disappear from those who stay is not intelligence. It is not luck. It is not even talent. It is the willingness to endure, to stay disciplined when it feels impossible, to keep learning when you feel exhausted, to survive long enough for your edge to pay you back. The market does not care about your dreams. It does not care about your hard work. It only cares if you respect its rules. And the number one rule has always been survival first. That is why I built this channel. Not to sell you dreams, not to promise shortcuts, but to share the reality of this game. The truth about what it takes to last. The truth about what breaks people. The truth about how to build a mindset that can survive not just this year, but every storm that comes after. If you found value in what I shared today, if this story resonated with your own journey, then I invite you to join me here at Trading Mindset Lab. This is a place for serious traders, for those who understand that the real battle is not with the market, but with ourselves. Subscribe, stay connected, because the next lesson is always ahead. The next storm is always coming, and together we will learn how to weather it. Trading Mindset Lab. Learn to survive. Learn to last.